Welcome to CJoy Yoga. You're going to be starting on your back, so meet me there. You may or may not want blocks or strap if you have tight quads, so you can always grab those, click pause, grab them, and come on back. Once you're down on your back, finding that most comfortable position for you at this point in time. I was going to say this morning, I'm filming in the morning, but you might be doing this at 2 a.m. I would rather have you sleeping from an Ayurvedic perspective, but I won't lecture on that right now. And as you lay down onto your back, you're going to close your eyes once you find that position for your body. Trying to find a place where you can sustain stillness, right? So supporting necks and hamstrings and low backs and whatever we need to try to stay with stillness once we find that position. Baby steps, little by little, we start to cultivate that ability to be still. And then the mind gets really, really busy, right? This is very common, it happens to all of us. So then we start to find present moment things to focus on. And since we're going into a asana, a movement practice, right, a postural practice, we start to bring it into the body and get in tune with our body. So as you scan through your body, notice if you have muscles that are tight, you can soften them. Maybe you have areas of chronic tension that you can't really soften those muscles because they've been tense for 40 years, but you can bring your awareness to it, right? And notice if it's feeling restricted or tight. Maybe there's muscle spasms in your body or cramping, tightness. Maybe there's an area that feels really soft and open and supple. The more we take the time and come to this practice, the more familiar we are with our body. We start to figure out what our body's habitual patterns are. And we don't want to put it on the body that, oh, my right ankle always has this going on. But if you know that most of the time when you check into your right ankle, it rolls out to the side of the outer ankle, gets stretched, right, overstretched or whatnot, you might just notice if that is indeed happening today. And then let's bring that mind to the breathing body. You can just observe it, you don't have to change it. But what's moving on the breath? Does your front body move? Does your side body move? Your back body, your belly, your ribs, your chest? Nothing is right or wrong here. Maybe you notice every time you inhale, your shoulders might gently lift up towards your ears, or right, maybe it's even affecting another part of your body, and you didn't realize that till now. Begin to smooth the breath out. And I'm taking a few moments here with the breath as well, because we are going to be going into the upper back and the chest. So bring your awareness to that part of the body. And pardon me, even though we're still looking for that smooth, soft belly breath, right, filling up from the belly to the chest, just tune into your chest and the upper back. And as you inhale in, can you get that whole upper torso to move out away from a center place, right? So it's more around the whole body. The whole body inhales and expands out, and then the whole body gently comes in. Don't be too forceful or too effortful with that. And if you notice that there's an area, you know, sometimes when we do this, breath, we can start to notice, oh, my right back of my upper ribs in this area feels tight, or what have then let's go ahead and let's start to move. So walk your feet back into hip distance. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to bring our arms down by our side. And let's just start with some side body lengthening, right? So you're going to reach the right leg out, reach the right arm over, and just that for now. Reach the right heel forward and reach the right arm a little further back and try to lengthen from the waist in two opposite directions, right? So be careful not to pull your shoulder out of the socket. It's not a huge move. Do your ribs flare up off the ground? Can they stay heavy? And bend the right knee, put the right foot down on the ground, lengthen the left heel out and the left arm overhead. And again, as if I could split you right at the top of your pelvis, I want you to reach in two different directions and lengthen. When I do that, my ribs get super light, so I have to remember to soften my ribs back down and lengthen out of my side waist, not my back body, right? And bringing that back to what we're calling neutral. Now it's going to be the left arm and the right leg, and this one is all about cross bodies. So see if you can't feel, as the left heel pushes forward, the right arm back, that lengthening of your fascia from the right shoulder to the left hip. And just try to lengthen out of that. And bringing that back to center, let the right heel reach forward, the left arm overhead, and again, as you lengthen those two pieces away from each other, just seeing if you can notice anything happening anywhere between the left shoulder and the right hip, and that lengthening. And again, be careful of the back ribs. I do it every single time. I always have to remind myself to bring them back down. And go ahead and bring that back. I exploit my low back and my mid-thoracic a lot. From there, bring the right knee in, and let's just say hi to the low back. You might even feel that area where the low back and the thoracic connect, softening down to the earth. Allow that rounding to happen right now. Bring the right foot down, bring the left leg in. And bring that foot down. And then you're going to go ahead, and we're going to go into some rolling bridges. So feet on the ground with the knees bent, feet at distance. Inhale, right off the bat, the arms can join in if they want to. You lift the hips as you reach the arms overhead. And then exhale, you're rolling down, bringing those arms back down by your side. Move into that imaginary block I like so much between the thighs as you inhale and start to lift back up. And exhale, rolling back down. We'll add on with this and we'll start to get a little bigger of a back bend. So inhale, go ahead and roll up. Now, like a big snow angel, you're going to turn your palms up to the sky and sweep those arms around by your side. Rock and just lightly, just start to say hello. Don't go to the deepest back bend you've ever done. It's early in the practice, right? Pushing down through your feet, squeezing into the inner, the blocks into the inner thighs into a block, and then go ahead and push lightly through your hands, your wrists, your forearms, your elbows, your upper arms, your shoulders, and say hello. Let the chest expand and open up. And exhale. Take one more inhale there. Some of my friends, if you're in your low back, buttocks flush to the backs of the knees, or frontal hip points up towards the low floating ribs, I could say, right? And exhale, let those shoulders come on out a little bit as you roll back down, lengthening the whole spinal column. And then you're going to roll over onto either side body. I'm going to let you determine, since you're at home and you have a device to look at. Now you can prop yourself up on your hand. If that feels extreme in your neck, you're just going to bring your arm down to your bicep. Or, for that matter, you could use a block. You're going to take that top leg, you're going to bring it towards the body like we did moments ago. Try to grab onto the ankle, strap it if you can, and then try to reach the knee down. Now notice my knee stays the height of my buttocks bones as I do that, right? And so I'm not all the way up, which is where most of us want to go. Make sure your inner groin is participating as much as your outer groin. As the knee moves down, we're going to pull that top frontal hip point up towards the frontal rib, right? And once you got all that going on, then maybe the heel comes a little closer. But heel to buttocks, to me, that's not where the stretch is at. The stretch is in the opposition. Knee moving down, frontal hip point pulling up, and just starting to wake up and say, hello, quadriceps. If you can get the ankle, Go ahead and flex the foot and push the heel, right? So I'm just doing this on the back side. And then point the toe. And then flex the foot, heel pushing. Not pushing, but just reaching, I guess. And then flex the foot and point the toes, and flex the foot. And go ahead and release that and bring that back down. You're going to go ahead and start to circle this this top arm. So go ahead and just take a couple of circles each direction. Don't go too fast, but also, you know, we want to make sure we get in some of those bigger back bends, but notice that when you start to move overhead and that palm turns up, we start to open up through the armpit, the front of the chest, the front of the shoulder. Go ahead and go the other direction. So that is one of the areas we need to be open for back bends, right? We invite to open, but I mean, if they're really closed off, back bends are extremely hard and can be harmful to other parts of the body, as are the quads, believe it or not. Go ahead and you're going to turn over to the other side. I am going to lift myself up and bring myself to the other side so I stay facing. Actually, no, I'm going to face the other. No, I got to face this way because of my voice. I'm all over the place today, friends. If you couldn't tell, I've already started this video like 8 times. So from there on your side body, top leg, whatever that one is, bend the knee towards the chest, grab the ankle if you can get it, top of the foot's totally fine. And then go ahead and again, try to keep the knee the level of the buttocks bones as you reach that back. Try not to let it go too high, right? Each leg is different. For me, this one wants to go a little higher, so I have to ask it to come in a little more. The knee moves towards the bottom of your mat, I'm gonna call it, as the frontal hip point pulls up towards your frontal ribs. And once you have that opposition, those two pieces moving away from each other, then yeah, maybe the heel does come a little closer. But that's not the end all be all, and just because you have your heel at your buttocks doesn't mean you're really, you know, getting into the quads as much as you could. Now we're gonna do that footwork again. And again, I'll just roll down so you can kind of see. I'm just gonna simply flex my foot and let my heel reach, I guess it would be towards the back of my head. And then point the toe, zzz, and then flex the foot, zzz, and then point the toes. And flex the foot. At least I can laugh at myself. And point the toes and release the leg down. Arm circles. Go ahead and start to circle that arm over. You can turn the head and roll the shoulder open. That's up to you. Which one gets you into your shoulder and your armpit in a really lovely, gentle way, just to start to open that area up, right? And then once you go 2 times one way, you'll switch that and you'll go the other. And again, you know, you can find your own pace, not too slow, but not just zinging around either. I think you miss a lot of the joy when you just move really fast and just whoop something into a shape or a pose, right? And you know, if there's a spot that's like, woo-wee, you might stop there and stay in it for a moment. And then we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna come onto our bellies. And I am going to be doing funky things with my head in the sense that I'm going to keep it lifted so you can still hear what's going on. You do not have to keep it lifted, nor should you, especially to protect your neck, right? So I'm going to go at a little bit of an angle on my mat just so I have more, my head facing towards the camera more. But you're going to go ahead and have your arms out wide, right? Your forehead would come down to the backs of your hands as modeled. But now I'm going to lift up, right? So now you're going to press down, reach those big toes back, and you might even lift the legs a little bit and try and get room at the front of the hips, the psoas. And then reach the toes back and push the feet lightly down so the thighs lift, right? Now push your elbows down, slide the shoulder blades down your back, and come up into a baby cobra. So I'm not coming up all that high, right? Pull the belly button, try to pull the belly button all the way forward towards your hands and see if that doesn't help your low back lengthen. Take an inhale and exhale coming down. This time, curl your toes under, push your heels back, thighs get buoyant, so it's the same work, but my toes are curled under this time. Push down into your arms and inhale up into your low cobra, right? And again, pull your belly button, your navel towards your palms, and just get that low back to lengthen. You can go back to version 1 if this feels like it's too much for you. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to slide my elbows over to the right a little bit, and then I'm also going to slide my abdomen over just a little bit as well and pull my belly button forward towards my hands again. Now as I do that, I'm going to push my left heel back behind me to see if I can't lengthen through, it might be the front of your left hip or thigh. Right now I'm feeling it even in my abdomen. It's the part of my psoas that comes up through my pelvis, right? My inner bowl of my pelvis. That's what I'm feeling today. I feel different things on different days. Come back through center with the belly, with the arms. Move the arms over first, push down lightly and drag the belly, slide the belly over to the left just a little bit, yeah? Pull the belly forward towards the hands, shoulder blades down the back so you've got your upper back bend going on. Now push your right heel further back and see if you can't start to make contact
with the front of the right thigh, hip, in the right side of the inner bowl of the pelvis, wherever you feel that. Take another breath, inhale. Again, if these muscles get tight, it's really hard not to be in a dowager's hump, rounded forward position. Go ahead and come back with your belly, come back with your arms, and go ahead and come on down. If you're wearing glasses, you can always just bring your head down, but if you can turn your head to one side, and you might take your glasses off for that, and go ahead and have your arms by your side, palms up, soften the upper back and the neck. Give them a little breaker. Adding on. This time forehead's going to come to the ground. Again, I'm going to keep mine a little awkward just so you can hear me. You're going to interlace your hands behind your back if you can. This would be a strap place if you need a strap. Now press down the tops of the feet, thighs lift, right? This time we're going to go ahead and we're going to pull our belly towards where our hands were as we reach our knuckles back, right? So my belly button keeps pulling forward to the front of my mat as my knuckles reach back. And it's a lot like bridge pose. So I want you to imagine you have a ceiling above you right now. Push the back of your head, your shoulders, your arms, and your hands up into that imaginary surface, that ceiling. Maybe the toes reach back so much they lift an inch. Take an inhale. And exhale, turning your head the opposite way, palms up, supporting your head if you need to, if you have glasses and you're not taking them off today. Take a breath. Bring your hands next to your low floating ribs, forehead can turn down, curl those toes under. You're going to come up to downward dog eventually. Your options are plank, half plank, and then the downward dog, plank or half plank. Try that again, right? If you can find it, you can always use forearms, of course. Hands next to low floating ribs. Curl the toes under, push the heels back. Now pull your belly all the way forward towards the front of your mat, and then push down on your hands and see if you can't lift up through plank, otherwise leave the knees down. Exhale back to your downward facing dog, right? And as you bend the knees and lift the heels up, see if you can't get your buttocks bones to reach further up and back. Once you got that going on, maybe you start to straighten the legs, ending them out, or reach the heels down. And it can be a variation of either of those. Find out what keeps your spine the absolute longest in your body. Triceps pinning in, or I could say triceps rolling towards face. Where is your neck in alignment with the rest of your spine? Take an inhale. And with an exhale, walk your hands back to your feet. Hands on the shins. Reach the chest forward. Exhale, fold in. And hands on the hips. Inhale, reach the chest forward and come all the way back up. One more time, interlace your hands behind your back or strap. And then from there, you're going to go ahead and you're going to push your feet down and get tall. You remember when we were just on our belly? This is the same position, right? So my heels reach down. They would be going back if I was on my belly. I'm helping that belly button, that navel reach up, so I keep my low back really long. And then I start to reach my knuckles down. They don't ever have to go all the way down. And I see if I can't push. Right? I open the chest is why I turn forward. And then I'm going to try to push the back of my head, my shoulders, my arms, and my hands into an imaginary wall behind me and see if that doesn't help my collarbone broaden. Really keep that navel moving up today, right? So that we don't flare the ribs. And release that and let that go. Maybe take a couple of shoulder rolls. So all of that stuff is to get us into camel pose, which is going to be the big today, right? And this is where you may or may not want those blocks. So we're going to do two. First one, right? And I normally would teach for about 40 minutes before I introduced camel to make sure all of your bits and pieces and your nooks and crannies were open. You can put a blanket underneath your legs, right? And just have those blocks handy, but we're not going to use them for the first round. I'm actually going to move mine so you can see what I'm doing, right? So from here, you're going to go ahead and be on your knees. Watch for just a second. We'll bring our hands back. I'll try to be quick about it, but at the same time, I want you to see, because once you're in it, you can't see, right? And as I move my buttocks flesh, is what Mr. Iyengar calls those the eyebrow of the buttocks, right? As I move my buttocks down, I could say navel back up. This is the same stuff we've been doing, right? My knees reach down, especially my inner knees. And then I'm going to see if I can't start to act like I'm a high jumper going over a high bar with my area right by the bottom parts of my shoulder blades. Shoulders slide down, right? And I lift that chest up. As that upper back moves in, my neck starts to move in, and we're not bringing our hands down at all on the first round, right? We're going to focus on that beautiful upper back. As a matter of fact, I might have you bring your hands up. I'll give you the option. And you can bring the elbows in, shoulder blades down, and then you're going to lift your occiput, right? The skull at the occiput, right up off the neck, and then you might bring those hands back down, trying to keep that formation, right, or that information. And then we'll sit back. We can sit on blocks, or we can continue to kneel or sit some other way for a hot second. We'll go up again, and then we're going to start to do a couple of forward folds for all of this whoop, 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 woo you've been doing. Okay, first camel. The first hump of the camel. So from there, push down into your shins, right? Hands on the eyebrows of the buttocks to start. Move the elbows back, right? And that same work we just did with all that interlace, right? I still am moving the back of my head, my shoulders, my elbows gently into an imaginary surface behind me. And as I move my buttocks flush down and that belly button moves gently up, I start to roll my shoulders back and see if I can't pull that upper back between my shoulder blades in. If you want to try that interlace, bring your interlace right at the occiput, bring the elbows in, slide the shoulder blades down, and then it's almost like you're pulling the skull kind of gently up and ever so slightly back. Keep the neck, don't lose that. Bring the hands back down, and now try to bring a little more upper back now that you have the hands as a lever to open the chest. Take a breath there, shins are still rooting down. Really push through the shins, people. Inhale. Exhale there, leave the neck where it is. Inhale, chest comes up first, and then the head, and then the arms. I'm going to demo while you take a break. So you take your break. Second version. You might curl your toes under if you know that version. A little higher than that would be bringing blocks in on either side of the heels, right? We'll go into it the same way, but we won't pause for that interlace. But remember that feeling of the occiput lifting, right? And the upper back being what aligns the neck, or helps the neck find its alignment, I should say. And then I might reach back, and I might reach back. Now, did you see how my hips moved back with me when I did that? So once I get my surface, whether that's heels or block, I push down into the block, right? Not to try to shove my hips forward, but just to keep them where they started. Navel pulling up, shoulder blades down the back, chest opening, neck in alignment, and you come up first with your chest, then with the head, and then we sit back, we take a moment, and then I'll give you that forward fold that your body's like, oh, please, forward fold me. Come on up. Either curling the toes under for heels or bringing the blocks down. It's not worth it to hurt your low back for this stuff. It's just not. Hands on the on the eyebrow of the buttocks. Move the elbows back, shoulder blades down. Press the shins down like crazy. And then we start to slide the shoulder blades down. Upper back moves in. As the upper back moves in, the neck moves in. And that's what starts to lift the skull up and back, right? And then take an inhale. Really reaching that chest up. Find your edge, and then see if you can drop a hand to a block or a heel. And that might be plenty, and you might just do one hand and then the other. If you can get the other hand down, find it. Now pushing into the block, pushing your arms into an imaginary wall behind you. Can you lift the chest more? Can you lengthen the low back? And the hips do move forward a little bit to allow that. Right? We just want them to stay where they started. Push the shins down, push the shins down, push the shins down. Inhale, chest brings you up. Chest, then head. Sit back. Whatever height of the blocks you want, or whatever that is, right? You've got lots of options here. Don't forward fold quite yet. I'll give it to you, I swear to goodness, right? But give the body just a hot second. Whew, we don't want to just like, woo, 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 woo. Or, I don't know, you probably want to. I don't know if it's the wisest decision for the spinal column. And if you're on something, you're going to come off. We're going to do a different variation of child's pose. That may or may not work for you. You're going to curl your toes under, unless you can't, then you don't. Leave the knees and the heels in, bring the buttocks down as much as you can. You can leave them higher. And then your forehead's gonna come down. Your arms will come by your side. They might just rest by the side. You might bring your hands onto your heels or your feet and just really gently pull against them. The elbows can slide a little wide, and that might help that area between the shoulder blades and the upper back-ish open. Take a breath. Don't hurt your neck. And then go ahead and release the arms out. Let's take one more downward dog. You can let those feet come out a little bit. They can be as wide as the mat, shoulder distance, hip distance. Same thing with the hands. Wherever it feels comfortable, just take a second and unwind the spine. I always think the sweetest downward dogs for my body are after doing upper back bends. They just it feels so good to lengthen my spine after all that stuff. Bring the knees down. Let the legs come on out in front of you. Get really tall. Inhale. Now we're going to go into some forward folds, right? So when you start to forward fold, don't start with the chin or the shoulders. Keep the integrity of the spine, the long spine, just for a little bit, right? And you can always bend the knees, by the way, because this is going to be more about the forward fold than the hamstrings. But then, yeah, I do want you to start to soften in, unless for some reason you have bulging discs, herniated discs, or it's just not comfortable in the low back, and then don't do it. But otherwise, if you can really gently start to soften in, feel free to do that. Let the neck let go. Invite, I should say, the neck to let go. Check into the low back. Bring a breath directly into your low back. And exhale. Bring a breath into your kidney band area. Bring a breath into your upper back. Bring an inhale into your neck. Inhale, reach the chest forward to come on up. Bring the soles of the feet together. One more forward fold, a twist in a Shavasana. That's going to be the name of my memoir, a twist in a Shavasana. Get nice and tall. Inhale. And again, keep the integrity of the spine. The feet can be out in front of you. They don't have to be all the way next to you. And actually today this feels a little better in my body, right? And then once you find that edge, slowly softening. L5, L4, L3, L2, L1, T12, T11, T right up to T1 and C7, and then C7 all the way to C1. And C1, the top of the cervical spine, the neck spine, is about in between your ears. So can you soften all the way up into there? Are you breathing? Inhale the chest forward, come on up. Buttocks in the middle of the mat, coming on down. Now I'm going to suggest that we go with the knees into the body, but you can always leave the feet on the ground and just do windshield wiper with the feet wide if that feels better for you. So tee the arms out. Before you go into it, you're going to lift your hips and you're going to move them a little bit left of center, bringing the knees to the chest and then rolling over to the right. And you can play with it. Does it feel better to have your knees kind of hugged up and in, spinal wise, right? Or does it feel better to have the knees move away from the body, right? So you can play with whatever that is in your body. Today, head might turn to the left. I'm not going to do that because otherwise you won't hear me, but you can. And inhale those knees back up. We want to put our feet on the ground and rock our hips past center and a little over to the right. Knees come back in, and then we let the knees go over to the left. And we find out where is it that our body would like to feel this twist, right? So knees might come closer to the elbow or further away from the elbow. I didn't invite you on the other side, maybe left hand out of right thigh, maybe turning head to right shoulder softening down. Inhale back up, feet on the ground, and you want to get your hips right back to the middle, right? So find out what is that for you. Pick them up and shake them out or do whatever you got to do. Set them back down. Right, make your little adjustments and get ready to move into Shavasana. If you feel sensitivity in your low back at all, Note that maybe next time don't go so deeply into the upper back bends, because you might be someone where the low back's not quite open enough, ligaments, tendons, and such, in order to go to the upper back, so your low back takes the brunt of it. But anyway, if that is the case for you, be careful next time, and you might just put your feet on the ground so you have a little more space in your low back today. Arms can be out, hands can be on the body. Hopefully maybe shoulder blades are gently softening down the back, and we're hopefully going into this broad collarbone we've created. I know a whole bunch of teachers who talk about the collarbone smiling. I like that imagery. I am still here with you, but I'm going to take my voice out for just a little longer. Every time the mind gets busy, bring it back to the breath. Bring your awareness back to your breath. Any wiggles or jiggles or stretches overhead. You can extend the legs out, or if they're already extended out, you might point and flex the feet a few times, or whatever feels good, right? When you're ready to come up, feet on the ground, knees bent, rolling over to a side, pushing the floor gently away with that top hand, bringing yourself up. You can be seated or kneeling on whatever surface feels groovy. And bring your awareness to your chest and your upper back. Now we did that at the very beginning when we were lying down, it's true, but I'm just curious if when you breathe, inhale into that area, it feels differently at this point in class. Bring your palms together at your chest, inhale. Exhale, keep that chest lifted as you gently bow your head. And this is where our head and our heart meet, right? That's a good practice for me on that as well. I think about that often. Sometimes I feel like they're on different teams and I have to remind them to work together. Namaste, friends. Have a wonderful day. And when you're sitting down today doing your business, right, whatever that is, maybe occasionally think about where we were in class today and see if you can't bring some elements of that in.